Hello and welcome to Total Body Tuesday. I am your coach, Melanie Black, and today we're just going to do a simple, not easy, but simple beginner total body workout. We're going to use one kettlebell. So if you happen to have purchased at some point a beautiful kettlebell and have been wondering how to get started, this is the perfect workout for you. If you're a more advanced kettlebellist, we are going to revisit the basics, and the basics are the bomb. We love the basics because doing them well, doing them correctly is going to get us some really tremendous gains. Now, for those of you who have been training for a while, of course, you'll want to be in the rep range that is most beneficial to your specific goals. But if you are just getting started, you're within your first 6 weeks of training, we're just going to go a flat 10 reps. 3 sets of 10 reps is what we're doing tonight on the kettlebell. We're going to be doing the deadlift. We're going to be doing the squat. We're going to be doing the row, and we're going to do the shoulder press, all with a single kettlebell. And so we're going to do the simplest version of each of these items. And if you can master these basics, you will have a killer total body workout. And of course, total body workouts are not only wonderful for general health and functional strength and feeling freaking amazing, they're also what I recommend for those of you who are working on fat loss. So always do a total body workout if you're working on that fat loss. Let's go ahead and dive right in. All right. So before we get into the actual workout itself, I recommend doing a gentle whole body warm up. We're going to do some nice big air curls, sweeping the arms up into the sky. Nice deep inhale, exhale down. You don't have to kneel while you're doing this. Put myself in frame here for you. Inhaling up, exhaling down. We're going to do some stick-ups, reaching for the sky, squeezing those shoulder blades down and together. Again, you can do this standing. I'm doing it kneeling for the benefit of being in frame without having to mess with my camera here. We're going to do some forearm goblets, rolling along the outside of the forearm, swimming on through. And a little bit of mobility that I'm doing at the beginning here. Remember, it's static stretch that we want at the beginning, but a nice big joint movement for all of our pieces, parts. From there, we're going to bring it down to pelvic tilts. We're going to crunch those abs in, stick the booty out and back, crunch them in, stick them out and back. Really activating that core. If you want to know why we do this one, I go in depth on one of the best reasons to do this, which is to prevent back pain on a different video, where I talk about best stretches for back pain. Okay, from there, we're going to bring one knee up nice and high, open, tap the toes out, up and in towards each other. Getting a nice little internal, external rotation on the hip here. Getting it primed and ready to rock and roll. Now, if you have cardiovascular activities as a part of your workout, I do recommend doing your cardio after this little bit that we're doing right now, this little dynamic joint rotations, and before your strength training in most cases. Especially if you're a beginner, you want to be nice and warm for your strength training, have everything nice and warmed up here. We're just doing a quick one, but obviously if you get a little bit more thoroughly warmed up, it can only benefit you. Now we're doing some calf raises, and we're also going to do some wrist and hand circles, warming up those wrists and hands, doing some air grabs. Wunderbar. All right, and then we want to lace the hands behind the back, press the hands down, keep the shoulders down and back, and we're going to hinge at the hips, pushing the hips out and back. This should give you a nice gentle stretch on the hamstring. What we don't want to do on this one is we don't want to just wilt. We don't want to bow and wilt. We want to keep that spine neutral. We're priming that movement for the deadlift, which is super important If you have ambitions to do the Russian swing with your kettlebell, you're going to have to master the deadlift first. And to master the deadlift, we must master the hip hinge. Okay, here we go. So deadlift is where we will begin. Now, regardless of the kettlebell size you have, don't worry, size isn't everything. We're going to work with what we've got. I'm going to use what's going to be a fairly light one for me for deadlift, but it's all about the glute squeeze. So if you don't have a huge selection of weights to choose from in your home, which most of us do not, you're just going to have to really pay attention to how your body's moving and squeezing those glutes. So to start this one off, we want our feet a little wider than shoulder width or about shoulder width. So in other words, I could fit the width of my shoulders in between my feet, in between my toes. And I'm going to start off with that kettlebell directly under my crotch. So right underneath me, okay? Right in between the instep of those feet. Now to get down there, I'm going to start the movement by thinking happy dog, in other words, tailbone up, not tailbone curled under, and I'm going to push the hips out and back like I'm trying to touch my butt to the wall behind me, and keeping my gaze out in front of me, keeping my gaze out, keeping my posture nice and open, shoulders nice and open, all the way until I get down to the bell. Now, if you get down here and you're like, oh my gosh, my hamstrings, they're screaming at me, they're really uncomfortable, they got a big stretch on them, perfect, that means doing it right. From there, you're going to stand up, squeeze the glutes like you mean it. Pinch the butt cheeks for reals, y'all. That's going to give you the most benefit out of this movement. Then we're going to push the hips out and back, tap it to the floor, up, squeeze the glutes. Your tempo, once you get going, should be about 2 seconds down, 1 second up in most cases. Now, if you're dealing with having a weight that is too light for you, you may want to slow down your reps slightly to create more time under tension, but we still want a nice, crisp glute squeeze at the top of each one. Make sure that you're breathing. On the way up, we want a nice sharp exhale. Don't think about the inhale. The inhale is going to happen naturally. What we do want to make sure that we're doing is that on the way up, we're getting a nice sharp exhale. Really squeezing those glutes. The deadlift, wonderful for glutes, wonderful for hamstrings, wonderful for every part of your back, strengthening your back. If you have back pain, I highly recommend doing lifts with proper form. Obviously, incorrect form will make matters worse if you've got back pain, but back pain was one of the main reasons I got into fitness, because I had a really weak back, caused me a lot of trouble, and deadlifts fixed my back for sure. Okay, so I think I've got more than 10 now. I'm going to do just a couple with common mistakes that you will want to avoid. Things you will want to avoid. Looking at the floor and rounding your back. I promise you, the floor will always be there for you. You don't need to look at it. That's no good on your back. Other thing that you want to avoid is when you come up, leaning back. You don't lean back when you come up. You want to come up rod straight with those butt cheeks squeezed. No lean back when you come up. Third thing that you don't want to do, start setting the bell far away from your feet and pulling it from far away from your feet. That's no bueno. We always want it between the feet, up and squeeze the glutes. All right. After our deadlifts, we're going to get back and biceps with a nice one-arm row. So for our one-arm row, take a good stance so that we can have a nice long spine, chest up, gently lean on your own leg. If this is no good for you and you have a stable piece of furniture, you can also put one hand on a stable piece of furniture rather than leaning on your own leg for your row, okay? So you can stabilize one hand on a piece of furniture, but if you can, why not also work that nice stretch and stability. Bring the elbow straight up and back. Keep the arm tight to the body. It does not need to touch the floor on this. We want to keep the shoulders and the collarbone parallel with the floor. We don't want to sag into it, okay? Keep everything nice and tight and parallel with the floor as much as you can. Again, here we're going to exhale on exertion. That means exhale on the way up. Woo. And then we're going to do the other side. Again here, nice long spine, nice long stance, leaning on your own leg with one arm to stabilize, rowing with the other arm. Again, on this one, just like with the deadlift, you're going to want to find a focal point out in front of you, maybe on the floor about 6 feet in front of you, so that you start sagging your neck as you go. And I lost count. Okay, so common mistakes you'll want to avoid on this one. You don't want to kick the elbow out for this one. You want to keep that elbow nice and tight. You don't want to round the back while you're rowing. That's no good. And you don't want the neck to sag while you're rowing. So nice open chest. Keep that armpit nice and tight. All right. After your rows, squats. For our squats, one of the most important things is to get the bell into the proper racked position. So we are going to do a goblet squat. The goblet squat gets its name, you see this more with the dumbbell. The dumbbell is right up against the chest. It looks like I'm holding a goblet, right? So the goblet squat for the kettlebell, what we want on this thing is that we're going to hold it by the horns on the chest. And yes, the handle's going to be right up in your face. That's okay. And we're going to squeeze those elbows underneath, okay? Regardless of how busty you are, you want to squeeze those elbows underneath. You don't want them out to the sides, and you don't want this happening, and you don't want this happening while you are squatting. So up on the chest, squeeze the elbows underneath your kettlebell, supporting the kettlebell with your hands, with the wrists, with the forearms. Once you have that good, strong position there, we are going to situate our feet, again, about shoulder width. And unlike the deadlift, where I would be pushing my back towards the wall, I'm going to keep my head upright and push my hips straight down towards the floor. And then come up, squeeze the glutes. Bring the hips down, nice deep squat, up and squeeze the glutes. Again, we're exhaling on the way up on this one. We're making sure that we're not letting our knees collapse inwards. So, really common problem with the squats is knees collapsing inwards, either on the way down or on the way up. So if you're doing the Charleston with your knees, those knees are going in and out. Really work to stabilize them. This is a really common beginner problem. One of the things that I would recommend, I have my band here? Yeah. If you are having this problem of these coming in and out, if you've got a stretchy band, now they make ones that are specifically for squats, but if you've got a longer loop one, you can double loop it. And the stretchy band, you put that around your thighs and you get it so that there's no slack, right? So the knees are pressing slightly outward on the way down and on the way up, okay? If you don't have a band, still just imagine that outward press slightly. What that's going to do, it's going to activate the gluteus maximus. And the glutes are the single largest muscle in the body, so we want them to do their job. We don't want to put that leverage, that pressure onto your knees. So make glutes work. All right, so common mistakes on the squats that you will want to avoid. Besides not having the bell in the right position, we want to avoid folding over on the squat.
Now the deadlift is a hip hinge, but the squat is not. So if you think you're getting really close to the floor by doing this, it's just because your face is close to the floor. We want to bring those hips down and up, squeeze the glutes. Okay, that's gonna get quads, that's gonna get glutes. It's gonna get a whole lot of core with that front racked position. And then finally, we're gonna work on the shoulder press. Now for this one, I'll demo it standing, but then I'll demo it kneeling. We'll start off with our rack position again here. Same exact position that we did for your squat. And from there, we are going to keep the core tight and press straight up to the ceiling. Now, if you find yourself leaning back on this one, that's no good. We want to come around to the face and look it out over the head, keeping that core nice and tight. If you do find yourself leaning back, you can go from the kneeling position, and this will help to stabilize you, provided that you don't have sensitive knees. Again, every time you come up overhead, you want that bell directly over the crown of your head, not leaning forward with the bell forward of you. All right, so that is our shoulder press. And yes, you can switch your stance, your feet, halfway through if you like, but you don't need to. If you're using a kneeling position, that's mostly just to help you stabilize the core so you'll be less likely to lean back. Okay, so real quick, we'll go over all of those exercises again. I'm just going to show them to you. I'm not going to say anything. And try to spot the difference hip movement on the deadlift versus the squat. You're working different muscles on the deadlift than you are in the squat. Both work the glutes. Otherwise, deadlift are working back of the legs, upper and lower back. Squat is working front of the legs and core. All right, deadlift. Squat. Row. Shoulder press. Woo. All right, y'all. Go ahead and go for 3 sets of 10, and then do a nice little cool down stretch at the end, and you'll have yourself a killer whole body workout. Woo.
Nice work. All right, so if you have any questions about this workout or anything else, go ahead and drop them down in the comments. And if, of course, you're a Nerd Gym member, you're welcome to ask me in one of our private Zoom classes. Let's see, today's Tuesday, tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow I'll be doing a live video about my weight loss journey. This year I've deliberately gained 50 pounds so I could document a weight loss journey for you all. Each week I will be disclosing what I eat, how I do it, and doing the same program that I've used to literally get thousands of people in the best shape of their lives with this program. So go ahead and tune in for that. Like, subscribe, click the bell, all that